Okay, abusuya yabema kwaba sonko so ereba POG Media so abusuya yembonra eye yensem eye 3 petitions to remove eye Chief Justice Torkornoo abusuya na sa 3 petition no John Dramani Mahama nensa eka 3 petition no eye Chief Justice Torkornoo a request for eye petition no Okase John Dramani Mahama emma ne copy of the petition. Na petition no embrem no ewo mu se eye se bibi ewo petition no bia no stay in between eye John Dramani Mahama and Chief Justice Torkornoo na eye Council of State. Abusuya na eye Torkornoo ne nsaka eye petition no sa eye Chief Justice Torkornoo akwa kuliki petition no nioma ewom insema ewom e de ama minority afenyoma akensmo ene chese omo aba bonten a omo keka ensema enim e de kire John Dramani Mahama abusuya na investigations akoso a John Dramani Mahama and the Council of State ahu se eye Chief Justice Torkornoo eleki eye document mu nioma e de ama eye afenyoma akens ene minority abusuya sisi ano atrigger enioma enye asem ketu akra lawyer edozi temakru ababonten ababe my hot details about Chief Justice there a course no there eye Chief Justice no o provoke eye President Mahama adint na ade a eye se eye confidential no wo de kokoto abonten wo de kokoma minority for na minority for ebe fight back eye John Dramani Mahama abusuya momi yanko na yenkonkoti ensem course na ansa na ebe kono wo ensem kan bi afa share comment section no like share ma afoforo so ensa into me enka bi aha POG Media so medamase.
Because I just want to run up on this aspect of the conversation because it ties directly into the current state of affairs. Is there a real challenge that this call for the review of these powers will solve? Council.
I think that we are faced with an issue that we should not confuse matters. What we are discussing this morning relates to a press conference by the minority leader. He calls himself the mighty minority leader. What that means, I don't know. But what is not in doubt is that the minority leader says that there is an unacceptable attempt by the NDC to infiltrate the judiciary, and now says that civil society groups must condemn that act. And not only that, he invites all other persons, religious leaders and what have you, to tell President Mahama to stop what the Constitution says he should do. Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution is in clear terms. Thankfully, our Supreme Court had the opportunity to interpret Article 146 on the removal processes, particularly as it relates to a Chief Justice. Question: has President John Dramani Mahama done anything today not stipulated by the 1992 Constitution? Certainly the answer is no. Now, President Mahama, having assumed the office of President of the Republic of Ghana on the 7th of January 2025, has received 3 petitions. The petitions are to the effect that, based on the constitutional arrangement, the only basis that you can remove the Chief Justice or a Justice of the Superior Court is 1, through stated misbehavior, incompetence, or infirmity. As I speak to you now, I have not had the benefit of seeing the content of the petition. I've not seen it. Because if you recall, the Supreme Court in Franka J. Chum had provided a certain parameter that the entire process should be kept in camera. Strict confidentiality. So President Mahama, guided by this decision of the Supreme Court, has kept the petition under wrap. In fact, if you recall, when Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, wrote to him, however, copy to the Ghana Bar Association, Association of Judges and Magistrates, obviously, the President expressed his disappointment with that conduct. Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, demanded of the President, or requested, that Mr. President, I need 7 days to respond to these petitions before a prima facie case can be made against me. Yeah. The President advised properly, said, yes, even your request for 7 days, I'll give you 10 days. That was offered her generously. Let the record reflect that A.Markin, one of the principal advisors of Nana Addo Akuffo on legal matters, did not advise Akuffo to give Charlotte Osei the benefit of these 7 days or 10 days. That is our record. So it is a mark of, let me say, it is hypocritical, yes, for my learned senior A.Markin to do a press conference and suggest that President Mahama is doing something untoward. It's regrettable.
Well, no, he's not the one who holds that. The argument by the immediate past Attorney General is that to the extent that this injunction application is being heard, it behoves on the President to halt any process ongoing under Article 146 until the determination of that case.
You see, as for Godfred, I won't even talk about him for now. Let me deal with a major issue. You see,
why is that? That underlines the position that A.Markin has taken.
President Mahama's fidelity to the 1992 Constitution is something that should be celebrated. When he became president, he appointed a Shraj boss, yes, called Madame Vivian Loretta Lamptey. Yes. Now guess something. Honorable Frank Anodompre, NPP MP, and another gentleman by name Richard Nyama brought a petition to President Mahama that the Shraj boss so appointed by him has misconducted herself, financial issues, and therefore we're seeking the removal of the Shraj boss. Yeah. President John Dramani Mahama, consistent with his character to uphold the rule of law, accepted the petition, forwarded it to the CJ then. The CJ then made a prima facie determination, and the Shraj boss, Madame Loretta Lamptey, then
an appointee of President Mahama,
was removed by President Mahama. Yeah. Consistency. Yeah. Today, as we speak, President John Dramani Mahama is in receipt of 3 petitions. I don't know the individuals. What has he done, having received these 3 petitions, to warrant that unprovoked, meritless provocation from A.Markin? Has President Mahama done anything inconsistent with the 1992 Constitution? No. He received the petition. The Chief Justice said, President, I have become aware through a press release by your spokesperson, the Honorable Felix Kwachi, that these petitions are in your custody for my removal. Mr. President, before you make any comment further on this petition, Mr. President, I want to respond. The President said, well, I mean, that's fair. In fact, you should have actually spoken to me. Meanwhile, the letter requesting for it, you've copied other people. But that's beside the point. Your request is legitimate. I will give you 10 days to adequately prepare. Now, the President, having done this, was it consistent with the Constitution? Due process. He said, look, let everybody, you can't condemn a person without hearing, even though I differ. The president says, I will do that. Now the Council of State or whoever is supposed to go into the merit or otherwise of it. If the Council of State so advise the president and advise that he is not bound by Addo, what you do, if he sees that there is a determination of prima facie, you do a 5-member committee comprising 3 justices and 2 quote-unquote civilians to determine whether it merits your removal. In the meantime, the president has the power to suspend you. Now, from the time of the receipt of the petition to date, has President John Dramani Mahama done anything outside the strictures of the Constitution? No. Now, listen carefully.
I just want clarity. I'm told that there had been a ruling that says that if there is a petition against the Chief Justice, the President is not bound to give a copy of that petition.
No, so you see,
I'm just asking.
No, so you see, there were 2 schools of thought.
Okay.
That flowing from the Frank Ajechum decision.
Okay.
There is a lacuna. And that at this point, really, because personally, I think that when a petition comes and you respond copiously, it means that on the face of it, there is something that needs to be looked into. Okay. That's my view. And so I strongly believe that even at this point, the question of giving a copy to the person or respondent here is a bit, the Constitution itself is a bit silent on it. Okay. But President Mahama said, regardless, I will give you the opportunity, and gave her 10 days to respond. Now look at this. A.Markin, who addressed the press, one of the principal legal advisors to Nana Addo Akuffo until he left office, was here when Madame Charlotte Osei's petition came. Faceless individual. With all the issues, Madame Charlotte said through her lawyers, wrote to Mr. President Nana Addo Akuffo for a copy of the petition to respond. Eugene Ahin, the presidential gongon beater, then said, listen carefully, then said, it is not in the place of President Nana Addo Akuffo to give Charlotte Osei a copy of the petition. Mahama didn't say so. Mahama said, have it. Madam Sophia Akuffo, then Chief Justice, because it relates to, did the prima facie determination. Eventually, the president appointed a 5-member committee. My Lord Justice Benning, the late Justice Mafusao, Agnes Doji, Abrampa, and another woman. They went into the merit and said, look, there is grounds, and recommended the removal of Madame Charlotte Osei. It was a 3-2 majority decision. You understand? So that is our record. Has President Mahama today done anything outside what Akuffo has done? In fact, he had even gone a step higher. The lawyer Akuffo was not willing to give a copy of the petition. The non-lawyer John Dramani Mahama respected the request of her ladyship, the Chief Justice, and offered her. She even requested for 7 days. President Mahama.
Don't compare President Mahama to Akuffo.
Please, gentlemen.
Mahama is
I understand you are unconstitutionally interfering in my submission.
But I'm saying,
if you compare,
So I am saying that. Wait. So I am saying that this attack from the minority, and I've heard my learned senior Daku and the minority leader, I see that A.Markin cleverly wants to turn the conversation into an NDC-NPP thing to muddy the waters. Cleverly. And if you heard my national chairman, he said, this matter, we are not talking about it, the merit or otherwise. President John Dramani Mahama has so far conducted himself so well. And it's also because he had the benefit of sound legal advice with the likes of the Attorney General, Marietta, and co. around him. They will not allow the president, even though a non-lawyer, to do anything outside the constitutional stipulation. And so, you see, I think that regardless of the merits of the petition, and I don't want to go into it. Regardless of that, I have seen media houses, some other media houses and colleagues say, oh, the NDC wants to remove Madam, what's her name, Chief Justice Torkornoo, because either than that, the NDC cannot do oral or something.
And that you don't trust the current architecture of the judiciary to prosecute the oral cases.
Let me tell you. I'll tell you. Hold on. Shouldn't it be done? I beg you. I'll give you a classic example. A case I conducted. So there is a judge.
I'm enjoying listening to you.
There is a judge. My Lord, I'll just use this example. And my Lord Justice Akuffo, you know him?
Yes.
Okay. Good. My Lord Justice Akuffo was appointed by President Mahama High Court. Then Addo took him to the Court of Appeal. Right?
Yeah.
Good. So he strained both regimes, correct. I did Addo forcing at the appeal before him as one of the Court of Appeal judges. When he saw merit in it, even though he was appointed by President Addo to the Court of Appeal, he saw merit in our appeal and acquitted and discharged. So for me, the idea that, oh no, because you have been appointed, in fact, Her Ladyship Justice Torkornoo, do you know who took her to the Court of Appeal? Do you know who took her to the High Court? She strained all the political parties. So this has nothing to do with whether she was appointed by NPP or NDC. What we all need to do is soberly reflect, and I'm sure if a prima facie determination is made, we'll all have the benefit of knowing. Look, in the case of Charlotte Osei, and remember that when Charlotte Osei matter happened, Frank Ajechum had already been decided. As at the time, Nana Addo Akufo forwarded the Charlotte Osei petition to her Ladyship Chief Justice, I think so far Akuffo, right? And she made a prima facie determination. What was it on? Procurement breaches. I remember at that time, I cautioned. I said, no. Superior Court judges, because of the countervailing force in our democratic experiment, right? The ground for their removal should be something very serious. At that time, my friends in the NPP, my friends in the NPP said, no, it matters not. Procurement breaches is enough, and that constitutes stated misbehavior. I said, look, the Procurement Act itself envisaged the possibility of violation and provided in Section 90 the opportunity to rectify. And so, in the wisdom of the maker of the law, they envisaged a situation where there could be mistake. So they said, set up a committee, investigate the matters. If the committee now makes... So I was looking at a situation where before you can remove a judge, it should be on grounds that he has stolen public funds. There's some, you know, some... Our friends in the NPP said no. And I remember, and I said this with so much sadness. Kweku Baako issued a writ at the Supreme Court. His lawyer was Samson Ladi Ayenene. That day, I happened to be at the Supreme Court with my senior Dr. Ayeni on a different matter. That same day, the Charlotte Osei suit came, Kweku Baako's suit came up. His Lordship Justice Nana Megache asked Samson Ladi, Samson, are you saying that a breach of the Procurement Act is not a violation of a law, is not stated misbehavior? And that was it. That day, I left the court sad. I said, look, if we put it in that context, all of us become vulnerable. The level of vulnerability is high. But I think at that time, it was convenient for some people to do that. Possibly because it was Charlotte Osei. And I've always maintained that tomorrow is pregnant. The accounts have been saying, yes, oh, you are for now, why are they? Look, why is A.Markin panicking? Does he have the benefit of the petition and its context?
Well, there's been some references made to some allegations that they, the minority, purport to be in the petition, which they describe in words as frivolous. In fact, the current Swami Member of Parliament, John Darko, addressed the press this week, referencing some allegations purporting to be in the petitions against the Chief Justice, and the description given to those allegations that they are frivolous. I want us to take a listen to
so that I can come.
John Darko,
let's listen to John Darko. Then I can.
And then I will set the matters in context. Take a look.
We are told that a gentleman who committed contempt in facie curia and was thus accordingly punished by the courts was the CJ because he has been punished by the court, not the CJ. One of the last allegations we've heard, which is ridiculous, is the fact that the CJ has misappropriated some 75,000 Ghana cedis. An accusation which from the Judicial Service has been dealt with by the Auditor General's outfit. Justice Torkornoo's distraction should not be the grounds for your rising to the office of Chief Justice. To you, that judge, remember that you can rise together. But if you ride on the distraction of somebody to rise, remember that posterity will not be kind to you. To our development partners and foreign missions in the country.
So that's John Darko. Hold on, because this, by the process and details of Article 146, the details of the petition is supposed to be in camera, secret. We shouldn't know. So then again, the reference is made of the allegations.
My learned senior says we are told. Now, when the president had the benefit of the petition, and the Chief Justice wrote the request, the president, in honoring the request, sealed the petition before giving it to her. Who informed the minority of the details? If her ladyship, the Chief Justice, in communication with the minority, because at this point, the petition is between the president and the Chief Justice. And in fact, for the president to guide the integrity of the process, he sealed, he marked the petition. I've heard one other journalist of Metro refer to what they claim to be the content of the petition. Who leaked to them?
That is, if it the details.
No, but this one, he phrases that we are told.
Yes.
Who told
I listened to him carefully.
No, I just played that.
Who told him these contents? But you see, how come that he, John Darko, his own colleague, A.Markin, Frank Anodompre, brought a petition for the removal of Loretta Lamptey. President Mahama didn't say it was an NPP MP against my appointee. He received the petition, actioned it, he found merit, and dismissed his own appointee. How come that today, Anodompre and his minority do not have confidence that President Mahama will do same thing he did to Loretta, affording her the opportunity to defend herself? Where is the fear? Where is the panic? You see, the stand of the minority relative to this broader national issue actually betrays a certain thing. It is extremely revealing. What is it? In all these constitutional arrangements, there's only one person under Article 146 to perform that role of receiving a petition. It is not Professor Ranford Jampo. It is not my learned friend here or this big man, not even me. Only president. The president. Who is the president of Ghana? Possibly the petitioner should have addressed it to the NPP minority before and given it to A.Markin, so that A.Markin can consult the Council of State in this process. Malene Senior, you were called to the bar before me, and I've always been inspired by your legal work. What exactly is the complaint against John Mahama? My senior Judge Dako, what exactly is the complaint against President Mahama? Now, when you assume the position of now deciding that a petition is frivolous, are you not usurping the powers of President Mahama and the Council of State? Lawyer Dako, it is rather your conduct that is unconstitutional. It is rather your conduct that is unbecoming of a lawyer. President Mahama so far has only conducted himself within the confines of the law. Akuffo.
Okay, abusunya wene ensema ekoso ewo political highway so. Eye Chief Justice Torkornoo NHS ya exposing na enye asam keto akra ya chene se oliki eye petition ni mu ensem ende ma minority. Abusunya wene ensema ekoso ewo political highway so. Bada mase se mojepe ne kokoti sa odiwi ede mai aha POG Media so. Bada mase